She thought her life was over, her body trapped in a wheelchair, her heart locked behind walls of loneliness. A blind date sounded like another cruel joke, until the door opened, and in walked a grease-stained mechanic with no polished suit, no fancy words. What happened next turned her tears into laughter, and her despair into hope. Amelia Cross was not the kind of woman who ever thought she would need rescuing. At 36, she had built a fortune as the CEO of a growing tech company that specialized in adaptive software for hospitals and rehabilitation centers. She was brilliant, sharp, and known in boardrooms for her fearless approach to business. But what the glossy magazines never showed was that Amelia's life had taken a brutal turn 3 years ago. A car accident had left her paralyzed from the waist down, and since then she had been bound to a wheelchair. Though she maintained the mask of a powerful woman in control, her nights were often filled with silence and the gnawing ache of loneliness. Friends had drifted away. Romance seemed like a foreign dream. People looked at her as though she was fragile or broken, and she hated that pity more than the chair itself. Her assistant, Claire, was the only one who dared to meddle in her personal life. One Friday evening, Claire announced, "You need to go on a date." No excuses. Amelia had laughed bitterly. With who? Another man who stares at me like I'm an inspirational poster? No, thank you. But Claire didn't back down. She signed her boss up on a private matchmaking service that specialized in professionals. One dinner, Claire insisted. "If you hate it, you can fire me." Amelia rolled her eyes but gave in, mostly to shut Claire up. The night of the date, Amelia wheeled herself into the upscale restaurant, every nerve tight with suspicion. She imagined a man in a tailored suit, maybe another wealthy executive, who would look at her chair before looking at her face. But as the minutes ticked by, no one approached her table. Just when she was ready to leave, the restaurant door swung open, and in walked a tall man with grease on his hands, wearing jeans and a plain shirt. He looked wildly out of place among the expensive dresses and tailored jackets. His eyes scanned the room until they landed on her. He smiled, an awkward, genuine smile. Amelia?" She blinked, surprised. "Yes. I'm Jake. Your blind date." Her eyebrows shot up. This wasn't what she signed up for. Jake Turner was not the picture of what Amelia thought she wanted. He was a mechanic who owned a small auto repair shop in the city. His profile had been honest, but Claire hadn't told her much beyond the basics. Jake looked rough around the edges, his hands bore the stains of oil, and his shirt was a little wrinkled, as if he had rushed straight from work. But when he sat down, the energy shifted. He didn't look at her chair first. He looked straight into her eyes, like he wasn't intimidated by her or her reputation. "So, CEO, huh?" he said, after ordering a glass of water. His grin was mischievous. "I was worried you'd be too fancy for a guy like me. But here you are." Amelia smirked despite herself. "And you're not even wearing a suit. That's brave." He laughed. "Suits aren't really my thing. I'd probably spill oil on it within an hour." At first, Amelia held her guard. She had endured too many conversations where men either tried too hard to act sympathetic or treated her like porcelain. But Jake was different. He asked about her company with genuine curiosity, not to impress her but because he wanted to know. And when she mentioned her accident, he didn't flinch. He just nodded, as if accepting it as a part of her story, not the whole of her. Halfway through dinner, Amelia realized she was laughing, actually laughing, for the first time in months. Jake was telling a ridiculous story about a customer who had tried to fix his own car with duct tape and ended up with the bumper dragging on the highway. She could see the image so vividly that she nearly choked on her drink from laughing so hard. When the check came, Jake didn't insist on paying in some show of masculine pride. He split it with her, saying, "Equal partners, right?" That small gesture touched her more than she admitted. As they left the restaurant, Jake walked beside her wheelchair without slowing his pace or trying to push her. He simply matched her rhythm. Before they parted, he hesitated and said, "I'd like to see you again, if you want." "No pressure." Amelia nodded, her heart racing. "I'll think about it," she replied. But secretly, she already knew she would. Their second meeting wasn't in a restaurant, it was in Jake's world. He invited Amelia to his auto shop, and though she almost said no, curiosity got the better of her. The garage smelled of metal and gasoline, but there was life in the place. Radios played rock music, tools clinked, and mechanics laughed with one another. Jake introduced her to his crew without a hint of embarrassment, as if bringing a powerful CEO into his humble shop was the most natural thing in the world. He showed her the insides of an engine, explaining each part with excitement. Amelia found herself fascinated, not by the machines, but by the passion in Jake's eyes. For the first time, she realized how rare it was to meet someone who loved what they did without pretense. She admired that in him. But with admiration came fear. That night, Amelia sat in her penthouse, staring at her reflection. "Don't fall," she whispered to herself. Jake was warm, but he was also from a different world. Could a mechanic and a paralyzed CEO really have a future? Her walls came up again. The next time they met, she tested him. "You know my life isn't easy, Jake. Everything from travel to intimacy is complicated. Most people don't stick around once they realize the reality." Jake didn't flinch. He looked at her steadily and said, "You think I haven't lived through hard stuff? I lost my mom to cancer when I was 19. My dad drank himself to death a year later. I built my shop from nothing with these hands. Don't tell me what I can handle." His voice cracked with emotion, but his eyes never left hers. Something inside Amelia shifted. For once, someone wasn't running away. Weeks turned into months, and Amelia's walls slowly crumbled. Jake brought light into her world, not through grand gestures but through small, steady kindness. He brought her coffee on rainy mornings. He teased her in ways that made her feel normal, not fragile. He never once treated her chair as a limitation. One evening, they went to a small park. Jake had found a way to make the uneven path accessible, guiding her to a spot where the sunset painted the sky in pink and gold. As they sat in silence, Amelia felt tears prick her eyes. "I didn't think I could feel this again," she admitted softly. Laughter. Hope. Love. Jake turned to her, his voice low and honest. "You don't need to be fixed, Amelia. You're already whole. You just needed someone who saw you, not the chair, not the CEO title, just you." Her chest tightened, but it wasn't pain. It was release. For the first time since her accident, she allowed herself to believe in happiness again. She reached out and took his hand. From that night on, the woman who thought she would never smile again found herself laughing more than ever. The CEO and the mechanic, two worlds apart, found common ground in love. And though the world might have called their meeting a blind date disaster, Amelia knew the truth. It had been the miracle she never expected. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to believe in second chances. Love doesn't always arrive in the package we expect, it shows up raw, unpolished, and real. Don't give up on life, because sometimes the person who changes everything walks in when you least expect it.